Thank you all for being here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ed Tree. I'm a staff attorney at Pisgah Legal Services, where I do driver's license restoration and expunction work. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this documentary with us. And we got to give credit to Major Moments for creating this under the executive production of Counterflow. Thanks for all the hard work with that. What we saw today in the documentary highlighted the real life impacts of the felony snap ban in North Carolina. The impacts on community members, on our clients, on our neighbors, on our friends. For anybody that doesn't know, just in case it's not clear, what the felony snap ban does is it prevents people with felony narcotics convictions from, in some instances, ever obtaining that food assistance. And other food assistance benefits, also known as stamps. Obviously, this has very significant consequences, particularly.
They want you to use the mic.
Okay, sorry about that. Obviously, serious long-term consequences for those looking to re-enter society. In the wake of the hurricane, which I can't believe is 6 months ago almost today, amazing, that need is even more acute. I would also add that we have some of the highest cost of living anywhere in North Carolina. So for people seeking to re-enter into Western North Carolina, it's just an added challenge. One more thing too, and I'll shut up after this. I do expunctions, which is criminal record clearance. Very common that I get clients coming to me looking for an expunction so that they can get that ban lifted. The sad reality is that the same offenses that trigger the ban can never be expunged. So there is no recourse, even if you have 10, 20, 30 years from the date of that offense. So we really don't offer any way out for those folks. Anyway, we're gonna now hear from our panelists who are gonna share their unique perspectives, both personal and perspective on the snap ban and its impact. Our first panelist is Ms. Maria Rodriguez. Thank you, Maria. Just want to thank you for being here and hear why you agreed to be a part of the documentary and what the experience was like for you. All right, here we go. Much better.
Oh.
Yes.
My name's Maria. Okay. Sorry, I'm not used to this.
I can repeat the questions that would help.
That would help.
So why did you agree to be a part of the documentary and what was the experience of sharing like for you?
I agreed to be a part of it because for the majority of my life, everything that I was a part of was something that was bad, the bad group, the bad kids, the bad people, and this was something that I believed in and that I wanted to help because it was something that I went through personally myself. And so I know if I went through it, then I know that I am not that unique, and a lot of other people did too. So I just wanted to get the I just wanted to get the word out there. I just wanted to get the word out so that, you know, people, because a lot, when I was talking to people about snap ban, like, they're so confused. A lot of people just don't seem to know, like, what I'm talking about. They don't realize that the rest of the ramifications that come even after you go to court and you are convicted and you do your time. Like, there's still, like, after that, there's still the after effects of that lifestyle. So I just wanted to help.
Thank you, Maria. And just to follow up, and you sort of already answered this, but what kind of impact and reach do you hope that documentary is going to have?
Like, I just want to bring awareness. I want more people to know about this, because the more people that know, there's going to be more people that are going to feel the same that we do about it, about how it's wrong, and that, you know, just being poor and not being able to afford food should be enough to qualify for you to be able to get food.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your personal story. I think the lived experience stories are the most impactful, most moving evidence of the harms of this ban. Our next panelist is a colleague of mine, Mr. Brent Bailey of the Buncombe County Reentry Council, a great colleague. Brent, you've been a long-time advocate for ending this snap ban. Could you share more about the impacts that you see in your work and personally on individuals like Maria and on households with children like those that were featured in the film?
Yeah, thank you, Ed. So I'll start with individuals like Maria. You're watching a documentary and you're seeing multiple women. There might even be some women in the room who are dealing with a snap ban. I'm not going to ask people to raise their hand, anything to that effect. But when this started, and I think the documentary showed it kind of was implemented in 1996. So times were different. That was more of the crack era. And I think that the target and the people they intended it to affect, that changed over time. Because between 96 and now, we entered into like the opioid epidemic. And also as it relates to women, the incarceration rates of women have increased exponentially. So when they passed this law, I don't know that they had women in mind. But women have definitely been impacted. And I think it's a way to try to sell the bill, talk to the legislators, everybody else, about how many women are being impacted by this. Because, not too many people are going to feel sad for a guy. But when we start talking about women, it might pull on some heartstrings a little bit. You seen Sabria and the illustration she gave, and how she was not able to get SNAP, but it also affected her 2 small children. And even if she could have got it, so they say, we'll give it to you for the kids, but not you. What's she gonna do, not eat? Like, you still are impacting individuals. And so one thing I like to share, and if you take anything away from this, like when you're talking to people about this, highlight the amount of women and children that this is affecting. Because when you start talking about a SNAP felony drug ban, people think you talking about Nino Brown from New Jack City or something, right? Nino Brown don't need no food stamps. Like, we're talking about real people that it's impacting every day. So we got to continue to highlight them.
Thank you, Brent. And just in your work with the Reentry Council, what are the broader impacts that you see of this ban on reentry and public safety in general?
So, it's a basic need, food. Like, when they have you in their facilities, they feed you. So they understand that, and they feed you because they want you to go to work, right? I mean, I don't know what people know about prison, but it's not what you see on TV. Most people getting up each day, they going to work, they going to school, they doing something, they getting in a routine. And so the prison gonna make sure we feeding people, because it's, some people say it's not just a need, it's a right. You have a right to food. And clearly that's the truth, because no matter what they charge you with, no matter what they lock you up for, you get to jail, they're gonna feed you. So clearly that is a right. And then once you release, you get this ban on you, and now you can't. And I also like to highlight this, is that no matter who you are, if you have that ban, you don't get any tax relief. You still pay the same amount of taxes as everybody else. So you going to work, you getting taxed, your tax dollars are going to support a program that you can't even participate in if you actually need to. And I think, Lord Keisha, we can talk after we get this bill passed. Maybe we need to try to sue them for some violations of some civil rights or something. Taxation with no representation, whatever. I don't know how we're doing it. But I feel like that's an unfair aspect of it as well. You're not going to allow me to participate in certain programs, but you're going to tax me at the same rate as everybody else. And so the broader impacts on public safety, Ed, is this. When you reduce recidivism, you increase public safety. All right, so the people we working with, the people Operation Gateway working with, I tell Sheriff Miller this all the time. You don't want our people in your jail, because they don't have the longest stays. Because the people we work with, they jump right over misdemeanor. They don't even know what that is. They going straight to the federal. Am I right? Yeah. Which means you're going to get a higher bond, you're not going to make, you're going to spend more time in the detention center. And the sheriff is not trying to have all these people in there. Also, we getting people that are motivated. Like, nobody has to participate in these programs. They are volunteering. They're putting their hand up. Philip and them reach out to people. Some of the people don't even respond. Fine, go on about your way. You got a plan. We'll see you if it don't work out. But the ones who are reaching out, they are motivated. And so we need to be trying to help folk and capitalize while they have that motivation. And one thing that's detrimental is even going in there, applying for the food stamps and being told no. Just that initial rejection, it starts to foster in somebody's mind where every other plan I had is about to be a bunch of no's. And so human nature is, I'll just return to what's familiar. Even if it ain't no good, at least I know what it is. So I know it might not be good for me, but I know what I'm dealing with. And so I think we have a responsibility just to try to help folk in that aspect. And so last thing I said, I'm gonna pass it to the next person, but Evan mentioned like he was able to survive because he got a stimulus check. Well, that's fairly recent. This bill was passed in 1996. Wasn't no stimulus checks coming for a long time. And so I'm saying that to say a lot of people getting out not gonna have a stimulus check to fall back on. And look, if people don't eat, they're gonna do whatever they gotta do to eat. And we shouldn't be helping to put folk in positions where they back against the wall and they saying, well, I just had to do what I had to do. Like, no, yeah, let's capitalize while they have that inspiration and motivation.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you for the work you do every day. Our next panelist is Mr. Jason Turnbull of Manna Food Bank, where he is the Outreach Program Coordinator. Jason, in your work at Manna, I would just like to hear what strain you see the SNAP ban and other bans on food access placing on community resources.
Absolutely, and thanks so much for inviting me here. I'm happy to talk. I'm excited to talk about this today. I've been at Manna for 14 years, and my full-time job over those 14 years has been around SNAP assistance, food stamp outreach, and SNAP application assistance. That's basically all I do and all I've been doing for 14 years. Over that period, I've managed the program. I've started our Manna Food Helpline as a vehicle to help people do the SNAP application over the phone. And I have a lot of lived experience as a kind of a helper in this role, helping people with the application. And yeah, I would say to your question, probably the biggest strain on the food network in Western North Carolina, the biggest strain I'd say for every SNAP application that's denied, that's one more individual or family that's in the food line, right? So they're in line at a food distribution that might be like a classic food pantry where they would be leaving with a box or two of free food. Maybe it's a community meal site where there's a hot, nutritious meal waiting for them, and they come in, they enjoy the meal, they leave. Maybe it's one of our Manna mobile markets, which is kind of like a quick way to access free food, maybe in a parking lot or whatever. But for every SNAP application that's denied, that's one more hungry person in our community that has to frequent that food pantry maybe more frequently, maybe more often, and honestly, it's a strain on a network that's flexed to the breaking point already. Like I don't think I have to explain this to the people in this room, but the way the economy is right now in our region, especially after the hurricane and our recovery, yeah, there's more people visiting our food pantries and accessing food through Manna Food Bank than ever before, and our network is stretched incredibly thin with some of our partners getting completely wiped out by the hurricane, and you can imagine logistical problems. So I guess that's the answer to my question, is that it's stressing an already extremely stressed network.
Thank you. And just as a follow-up question, what are organizations like Manna doing to address the food access needs for the population we're talking about and for others in Western North Carolina?
Yeah, so I would say that Manna Food Bank is leading the fight for food insecurity in Western North Carolina. For those that don't know, we serve 16 counties in Western North Carolina. We have a network of more than 300 partner agencies throughout those 16 counties. These, we call them partner agencies, might consist of food pantries, community meal programs, residential agencies, domestic violence and homeless shelters, youth and senior programs, rehabilitation centers, and more. So we're certainly doing that. We're still distributing food to the public for free in Western North Carolina. We've got youth programs. Fundamentally, that's like a backpack program providing free food to children in a free and reduced lunch program, and providing food for those same kids throughout the school year, and then during the summer when school's not in session, there's food made available to the same population of kids throughout the summer. We've got our Nutrition Works program, which is a program that's geared towards educating the public on basically what to do with the food that's that you would find in a food pantry. Maybe it's a weird kind of squash you've never cooked before or whatever, but trying to educate the public on maximizing the nutritional value that they might find in their cupboard or whatever, some recipes, etc., for cooking with maybe unusual items or the random items that you might find through the Free Food Network. My role at MANA, so we certainly do SNAP outreach and food stamp outreach assistance, or application assistance. We currently have a team of 3 full-time individuals, including myself, and at least before the hurricane, we had a team of about 30 volunteers assisting with that as well, primarily through our MANA Food Helpline. Our volunteer corps really got shook with the hurricane, so we don't have access to that auxiliary force right now, but we're working to get those back. But yeah, so I'm really proud to be working at the face of MANA Food Bank in the public. I work 2 or 3 days a week in the field, assisting people with applications face to face, and a couple days a week over the phone through the helpline. I work with niche populations, including Asheville's, I would say, a disproportionately large unhoused community, as well as releasing inmates from a few area prisons, help them with SNAP applications on their way out, and I'll turn the application for them in on the day that they get out to the county DSS office, their county of residence, and I've been doing that for, I think, since 2019, so really proud of that work. So I guess the answer to that question is MANA's going to continue to do the best we can to fight food insecurity in Western North Carolina. One thing that we do, and y'all might not know this, is we're also an advocacy arm. So I feel like an important part of our work is advocating for those that are experiencing the effects of poverty and hunger. As a nonpartisan organization, we kind of have to walk a fine line, and we don't endorse individual political parties or candidates, but we do work with local, regional, state, and federal legislators. We try to educate them on food security issues in our region. We work with Feeding America, which, if y'all don't know, I feel like the largest food advocacy, or one of the largest food justice advocacy networks in the nation. Feeding America is phenomenal. I encourage you to check them out. We work around voter registration, and we really try to get some grassroots participation in the community to kind of guide the work that we do so that we're meeting the needs of our citizens in our community.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you for what you do. Western North Carolina is very lucky to have an organization like MANA to support our communities. Our next panelist is Ms. Amanda Layton. Many of you probably know her. She's a rural reentry advocate at Operation Gateway. Amanda, I just want to start by asking you, what does it look like day to day supporting people who are coming home from prison and need food access?
Well, at Operation Gateway, we do a 90-day reach-in, so we reach in, and our executive director says that if you don't address it before they get out, you failed them, right? So we try to make sure they have housing set up, but that's one of the first things that we do, obviously food. We don't have enough Operation Gateways in our state. We have access to grant funding, so we can help people buy food. We're very lucky, but there's not enough people to go around to help. I take people directly to food banks. I am the rural recovery advocate, so I work with a lot of people from Western North Carolina, a lot of these small towns that have limited access to MANA, and they don't have cars, they don't have public transportation, they can't get to food banks. Evan in the video is actually a friend of mine. We used to run the streets together. And he called me, he reached out while he was in prison, And he had a family member reach out, and so we started connecting, and I wasn't even working with Operation Gateway then, but I referred him to Philip, and, you know, that was really hard for him. But, you know, like Brent said, when someone has the motivation, like, let's not tell them no, because it's like when someone wants to go to treatment. We gotta get it moving now, they wanna go. So, you know, he was kind of frustrated. That was one of the first places I took him. Now he's doing extremely well. He works for the Teamsters. He's still in recovery. He just got all of his fines and fees dismissed recently in court. I helped him with that. He's doing really good. But, you know, that's because we have Operation Gateway. There's not, like I said, there isn't a lot of us out there, and so we have access to food for people, but it's really hard because, like Brent said, you know, when they're motivated and they come home and that no starts getting in their head, like, I'm gonna be nothing more than my past, and that's really hard. And you know, when I came home, that's what I thought. I was a nurse in previous life, so you know, keeping people motivated and, you know, keeping them going is very, very important. And so, you know, day to day, what it looks like is that, you know, we help them from the moment they get out, but we help them prior to their release, and that's a necessity. And, you know, we take them down for Medicaid, we take them down for food stamps, we try our hardest, you know, and it's starting from the bottom up when you come home. You know, you did your crime, you did your time because you did your crime, you paid your debt to society, and then here you are coming home, you can't even get a place to live, you know, and you're banned because of that, you know, from your background. You don't have your records, your vital records, your birth certificate, your ID. A lot of the prisons, like you said, are overpopulated, understaffed, you know, and they don't do that for them. Some case managers, they are great and they do, but most of the time they come home with nothing. So it's a whole process, and it takes a whole community to help, and I just think this is horrific to keep people from food, because it is a matter of public safety. If you can't help people have that second chance, they're gonna go back to what they know, and that's not good, and that's not good for our communities.
Thank you, and you touched on it briefly. There's never going to be enough peer supports. There's never going to be enough man food banks. There's never going to be enough free resources. What can communities do on their own to better support access to food on reentry?
I guess, you know, the volunteers with MANA, what's happening here at Grace Covenant, you know, they're helping people after the hurricane. They've been a huge help to a lot of people. So, you know, advocating, reaching out to churches, and just, you know, getting out in the community and advocating, letting people know what's going on and how they can help. You know, we want to have a safer, more kind world, but, you know, if you can't give someone a second chance, you know, we aren't our mistakes, because if we were, I wouldn't be sitting here, so.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you for all the work you do every day. We appreciate you. Our next and final panelist is Ms. Laura Webb, who is the project director of the Fair Chance Criminal Justice Project at the North Carolina Justice Center. Got to thank Laura for coming all the way from Raleigh for this and being here tonight.
No problem.
First question, Laura. What efforts are you seeing around the country to address the felony snap ban?
Yeah, so thank you all for being here today. The time is now, y'all. General Assembly is operating now, so we have a great opportunity to do work to change this law. So in our, around the nation, we've seen a lot of momentum in several different states to end the felony snap ban in their state. Just as some background, the law, the 1996 law that permanently banned people for food stamps from the federal level, also had a provision in there that allowed states to pass laws on the state level to opt out of the felony snap ban for the people in their state, to give people in their state opportunity to access food stamps. So there's been a lot of states and through our nation that have recognized the benefits of ending the felony snap ban for people who live in their state. They recognize that ending these bans lead to better health outcomes, more successful reentry, improved outcomes for women and children, and stronger economies. And so they have done that. And over the last 5 years, we've seen about 8 states alone change their laws to allow people increased access. So looking at the map, and there's some maps available in both your folder and in some of the posters out there, there are 29 states, including Virginia, Louisiana, and Mississippi, so southern states, and Guam and the Virgin Islands that have changed their laws and allow people access to food, people with felony drug convictions, access to food without conditions. There are also 20 states, including ours, that have changed their law partially to allow some people access to food stamps after a certain period of time with certain kinds of drug convictions. So the most common condition that we see placed in those what we call modified states are that people have to complete their sentences, or people have to wait extended waiting periods, or that people have to regularly submit to drug testing or drug treatment programs. Like I said, North Carolina, we're one of the states that require conditions, and we also require people to wait out a waiting period. So under our current law, if you have a lower level drug felony, like H&I, we do classes here in North Carolina, you have to wait 6 months at least before you can access your food benefits. But the caveat is that you have to either have completed a drug treatment program or be actively participating. And we know people who are in the middle of dependency, sometimes they need food, whether they're doing drug treatment or not.
That's right.
But then, I think, and this is what people have been talking about, if you have what the state considers a higher level drug felony, A through G, you're banned for life. So that's where we are in North Carolina. We are among the 20 states that ban certain people and make you wait and jump through hoops to get access to food. There's only one state that's worse than us, I would say, and that is South Carolina.
Of course.
They completely ban everyone with a felony drug conviction from food access. And so, that doesn't very well for us.
Thank you, Laura. And if you could just briefly tell us about the campaign in North Carolina lately to change the North Carolina laws around the SNAP ban.
Yeah, so right now, as Philip and some other folks said, and Brent, Brent is the OG of this work. So,
How many OGs I'm gonna be tonight?
Own it. There's been efforts for several years to get North Carolina to completely opt out of the felony SNAP ban. We don't think that people should have to jump through hoops to access food. We don't think folks should have to wait at all to access food, that they should get it immediately. And so at the same time, there's two efforts going on, and there's advocates pushing on two things. So there's a campaign happening on the federal level. There's a bill called the Restore Act. It's a really long name. It's called Reentry Support Through Opportunities for Resources and Essentials. If this federal bill goes through and passes, then it will lift the felony SNAP ban in every state. So it's like one fell swoop. It will make it so that every state will have to give folks food access if they have a felony drug conviction. It would be as if the 1996 law never happened. But that's the hard of it. At the same time, a lot of us are working on the state level to change North Carolina's law. As we heard 2 days ago, Senator Mayfield, Senator Bergen, and Senator Muhammad filed a bill, Senate Bill 564, and there's a fact sheet about it in your folders, called 564, which is called Public Safety Through Food Access Act, that would immediately make people eligible for food stamps if they have a felony drug conviction. And they'll become immediately eligible after they complete their sentence, or they're released from incarceration or after their conviction date. So they become immediately eligible. There is a hoop, I will say, that they will have to still be in either completing treatment or actively participating in a program, and that's one of the compromises you have to do to get certain people on the bill, and that's all that was for. We had one of the particular senator on there, that was his compromise. So where we are with 564, we got it filed, which is great step. Next thing we have to do is get it through the Senate and into the House before May 8th, 2025, and that's crossover deadline. For a bill to survive, it has to survive a crossover deadline. Once we get it through, if we get through the Senate into the House before that date, we just have to get through the House, and we have to get the governor to sign it before the session ends in 2026. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we hope we can make happen this year.
Let me say something right there.
before you open it up. It's about this, the 6-month wait. So when you apply in North Carolina, right, it's 100 counties, so you apply at a county level, and there's no uniform policy across these counties. So you may go to one county, and while you waiting your 6 months, they may talk about treatment and an assessment and all that. You may go to another county and they not even mentioning that. So that's one thing. Two, people have had to wait that same 6-month period multiple times. So let me give you a scenario to kind of explain it. So let's say 2000, I'm convicted of possession. So I get probation, whatever, I come out, and then I apply, they say you gotta wait 6 months. Fine. All right, then 2004, I get a conviction for breaking and entering. So I come out 2005, I apply, they tell me, because they do my record, they see that drug charge from back there, they say you gotta wait 6 months. So I already waited that 6 months, but they not even educated enough to know that. So they continue, anytime they pull it, they see any kind of drug conviction, 6 months, 6 months. You may only have one. And I know people, because I'm the OG. I've been doing this a while. I got some sons in here, you know what I mean? So, but I have seen people serve that same 6-month waiting period multiple times with only one drug felony. And so I just wanted people to know that and highlight. No, it's not right, but as you are becoming more aware and educating yourself, this is more information that you can share with your network of people you know. Like, I want this to be our conversation.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Laura, for those insights.
Can I get one?
Sure.
So about that 6 months, so when I got out, it was in November of 2019, and March is when the pandemic happened. Everybody, I was in sober living, everybody in my house, we all lost our jobs, we're all laid off. I couldn't say, the unemployment thing was not my friend, it was not trying to work for me. I had to go and have somebody else help me do it. So I had no money coming in. So I found a ride because there wasn't any public transportation. I found a ride, had to pay a ride to take me uptown to go pick up the application, had to fill it out, found another ride to take it back up there to turn in my application. They called me back like 2 weeks later and said that I was 9 days shy of the 6 months. They were throwing away my application. I had to come back and do the whole thing over again. And so that's when I was just like, you know what? I don't need your food. I'll figure it out. And I mean, I stayed at the house in my house like 7, but and then until my unemployment kicked in. But 9 days.
Yeah.
9 days in the middle of a pandemic with no public transportation. Like that's ridiculous. You and I asked, I said, you couldn't just put my application to the bottom of the pile. No, you'll just have to come in and fill out another one. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
So, like that 6 months, like 9 days, literally 9 days in the middle of a pandemic.
That's terrible.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you to all the panelists. We have a couple minutes for questions from the audience, if there are any. If you have a question, just hold up your hand, and we'll get a team member over there with a microphone.
Are both microphones working?
Yeah, I think so.
I need the steps anyway.
No question?
Questions or comments?
By any chance, you talked about the women that were banned. Do you have any idea how many women in North Carolina are ineligible? Just that stat?
Now, are you talking to me, Nancy?
Yeah, because you were
Yeah.
talking about that, and it was like, oh, that's a good stat to throw out there when I'm telling my neighbors.
Well, I just know the incarceration rates have definitely increased, because, again, cocaine, opioids, less amount, more mandatory sentencing or whatever the case is, and just more people being impacted. So, I mean, I'm sure we could get them numbers. I don't have them numbers off the top of my head, but I do know, again, doing this for a long time, how I have seen over time more and more women going to prison and being released. So your caseload growing as far as women, but I need to have that. Yeah, so we doing these events. I need to have that information available.
Laura, what you think about us getting some data like that? You think that's something new for somebody?
Yeah, it's hard to find the numbers about who's actually impacted just because the state doesn't maintain those numbers to be, sorry. Yeah, so it's kind of difficult. We could get an estimate. We can't get ultimate number. There's not really one agency that holds numbers like that. So the last number that we have is it's at least 45,000 people in general who are banned for life.
Okay.
But that's a far underestimation, because one thing that's for sure is if you have a felony conviction from another state,
Yeah.
that will ban you here, and it's not really a great way to track that. And so we could get like probably minimum numbers, Brent and Nancy, to figure out what the impact on women is.
Does the government track, like, the denial? They do track.
Yeah, so we can get that number too, because I know the Department of Health and Human Services tracks the number of applicants that are denied. The issue is that some people believe they're denied or already know that they're gonna be denied, so they don't apply at all. So that's also would be an underestimate, but we could get the number.
And I may have missed this already, but I'm curious, so if someone's incarcerated, they come out and they have children, what does it look like then? So they regain custody of their kids, something happens, they need food, they're banned for life? Does that impact any?
Well, if they have a class G or higher drug felony, they ban for life. If, and H and I, they might have a 6-month wait, but part of the documentary though is, Sabria is doing an illustration, because this is also income based. And what happens when you have that, that drug felony, you don't even count as a person toward the household. So now it gets a little tricky as far as how much the income is, and if it was a woman with 2 kids, now it's really just a 2-person household, so the amount drops and things like that.
Yeah, and I went and grabbed Renee real quick, because she got lived experience with being pregnant in prison. You want to tell me in about 3 minutes or less how your experience was with food stamps when she got out and had the baby?
Hey everyone! So when I was released from prison, I was almost like 9 months pregnant. And when I got to Mary Benson House, all the ladies there put their food stamps together. And of course, you know, I wasn't able to get them because of my felonies. I passed H and I think. But so that already made me feel like, I don't feel like I should even go to the fridge and get anything to eat. I don't feel like I should do anything because I'm not contributing. And then I had somebody from the, somebody from the courthouse came to Mary Benson House and sat down with me, and she was trying to get me food stamps, and then that's when I figured out that I couldn't get them, and then they put my little bitty whatever work first check or something I was getting, it was like $100 a month or something. Anyway, they put that against Juliana, and then she was just, she couldn't qualify either. Like I could get them and she couldn't either. So it was just very frustrating, especially since our house, we all operated on putting our food stamps together in order to keep the food in the house. So thanks for letting me share.
How much time we got time, people? Any more questions or comments? All right, let's give the panelists another hand. So I want to reiterate the folders. Everybody got a folder? Did everybody in here get a folder when you came in, a blue folder? Y'all, you need a blue folder? Okay, so get her a folder. Got one in the back of the folder. So it's all about knowing what to talk about, right? And in here, you know, when you look at it, just practice just saying it, man. Talk about it everywhere you go. Like everywhere you go, like I had a presentation at the casino this morning with the workforce development people, and I brought it up. Just like with foster care. Did y'all know there's 100,000 kids in foster care in the United States of America, and there's 400,000 churches? There's 100,000 kids in foster care, and there's 400,000 churches. You see how that just flowed out? Rapid hope is something like this. 70% of the people that are disqualified from getting this are families with children, right? 70%. Everybody say 70%.
70%.
Everybody say 70%.
70%.
So let's remember that 70% of the people who can't get food stamps are families with children. Broken hearts change minds due to policies. So we gotta get used to just talking. You ain't gotta memorize everything. Just know a little bit. Just know a little bit. Beat that drum. You know, it talks about in here the number, the Senate Bill 564. But familiarize yourself. Get on the bus. Get on the bus. Make it 6. Get on the bus with us. You ain't gotta pay nothing. Just bring yourself. They feed us good. It's lit. And we changed the name of it. It ain't even lobby day no more. Because some nonprofit was like, I can't go to that. They say lobby. You know, but it's advocacy day now. You know what I'm saying? Come on down and have a great time with a whole bunch of people who are on fire for change. We showed up in numbers in Western North Carolina last year, y'all. We was deep. We was deep. Yeah, we was lit. We met up at AB Tech. And so get involved. Get involved and no, you don't got to do all the work. Sometimes it's just a simple Facebook post or Instagram post, or do it even on LinkedIn, because you know people on LinkedIn getting real radical these days. I don't know what LinkedIn folks say, but yeah, go on there. Somebody go on there tonight. Go on your LinkedIn, Christian Shortridge. Go on there and say, did y'all know that 70% of the people that can't get food stamps because of drug charges are families with children? Yeah, just post about it. So the panel did a great job tonight. I'll say that it was a blessing to be able to get the different perspectives. You know, we got the head honcho from North Carolina Justice Center up here. You're going to be the next executive director, Laura. I'm telling you. So you're going to be the next executive director, speaking into existence in the name of Jesus. Yes, Lord. You know what I'm saying? We got Turnbull. He's been doing that thing for a hot minute. You know, and he done ran out of volunteers, so people just want to get involved. Like people always talking about, hey, what can I do? Holla at brother. He'll give you something to do to help out. Like he just got a referral from her in here just now. Because she got somebody about to get out of jail on Tuesday. Went right up there and said, well, I'll go visit them and knock out the application. It takes us, common unity, community. It takes a village. You know, not one organization can do all the work. And watch out for organizations that act like they do all the work. Those are the ones you got to watch out for. You know what I'm saying? Because this thing right here, we can't do it with just one organization. And so that's the call to action. That is the call to action. Just a post. Familiarize yourself. Go on North Carolina Justice Center's website. Connect with, if y'all local, connect with Amanda. She lit. You some of y'all from the rural areas or your rural areas urban, you know, connect with some of these folks that can show you how to do text them. Just did a video. It's coming out soon. So if you want to get involved and help out with debt relief, they be tearing Ed Tree up. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? Boy, Ed, I told Ed he was in a burnout position. He has passed the test. I'm trying to tell you, because that position that he in right now, I remember when, what was my sister's name? Latoya. When Latoya, she was my cubicle mate in the Justice Resource Center. She gone. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, you cut a position, boy, because the demand is greater than the supply.
There you go.
You see? But a lot of this stuff that we're doing now, we're showing people how to do it on the North Carolina Justice Center website. You can go on there, it'll show you step by step. And then we just did another one to show people step by step. You know, and these aren't written into our roles. Like our job duties with the nonprofit, with Operation Gateway, our roles wasn't meant to do this work. We took this work on because it was a need in the community. You see? And we got to create more change agents to know how to do this work, to share the load. You know what I'm saying? That's what I believe that Jesus meant when he said, my burden is light. My burden is light because we are sharing the burden.
Come on,
Good.
If we're not sharing the burden gonna be heavy.
Well,
Come on, don't start letting him in, Lord. But I'm telling you, like, when any of y'all ever carried a casket before, you know, when you got your pallbearers, and you got everybody carrying that thing, we got to carry this thing together. And this is not complicated. We done had people come in green and learn how to do this thing. So it's doable. Trust and believe it's doable, and that is the call to action. Get involved, get educated. North Carolina Justice Center, Episcopal Legal Services. You know, learn about what's going on. Get on the bus. May 6th, get on the bus, y'all. If y'all see us share something on our Facebook page, reshare it. That's helpful because y'all's networks ain't our networks. And if you need help with social media, holla at Michael. He'll get you straight. If you feel like, you know, I'm not social media, say holla at Michael. He'll take you to CrossFit and he'll give you a daggone tutorial. You know, we have
casket after CrossFit.
yeah, well, he gonna put you down. Well, I was at that EDC meeting and I ran ran into somebody, and they were French broad chocolates. Y'all know about French broad chocolates? Amazing company, second chance company. And I was like, I'm gonna connect you with Michael. She was like, the CrossFit guy, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we out here, y'all, and it's not just the OG thing, right? It's not. But we live, and we ain't going nowhere, y'all. We are not going anywhere. So if you work with families with children, if you work with children, you work with adults, this is something that is impacting all of us. A lot of these homes that are single parent households got a parent that's been impacted by incarceration. Yeah. ACEs. Somebody tell me what ACEs stand for. And a parent that's incarcerated is one of them. Can I get an amen? And there's a lot of this going on, so it is up to us to come alongside these people when they come home from prison, help they get their life together, and start participating in the economic mainstream. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all like that? That thing rolled out. Didn't sound like I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So thank you all for coming out tonight. We have some poster boards outside. We want y'all to go out there and check it out. There's some helpful information. Take some pictures out there by them. You know, we got some people that'll take your picture, post it on your social media. Go stand by one of them that's talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Post it and send it to your church. Hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? We need Pentecostals, Methodists, atheists, Muslims, Buddhists. You know, what I left out? Everybody. I don't leave nobody out now. Who I leave out? Catholic? Yeah, Catholics, what else? Presbyterian. Everybody give a Grace Covenant a hand in this church. Let's go. Give Marshall Schultz. No storm formed against Marshall Schultz shall prosper. Yes. And it takes us all, y'all, okay? So if y'all ain't hear nothing else tonight that makes sense, what I do hope that you can take with you that makes sense is this is a simple way of doing things right here. If it sounds complicated and you feel like you can't do it by yourself, ask one of us and we will help you. You don't even got to open your mouth. You can just post about it, fam. You can just post about it. Just like some of y'all that's in here tonight, because y'all see somebody's Facebook post, right? And then some people went to the wrong church. That's neither here nor there. But we want to recognize Kim Roney in the back. We got her. She always shows up, y'all. She's one of those councilwomen that always show up. We got the executive director, my sister back there from Pistol Lee. Give her a hand. She's like, hey, yeah. We out here in these streets, y'all. We out here in these streets. So thank you all for coming out. Please take your time, take some of that pizza and sandwich stuff with you, because we ain't talking about wasting no food in here, talking about food access. Can I get an amen? Amen. You know what I'm saying? And take some pictures by those signs out there. Have a good night. Thank you.